And I feel an obligation to the country to pay back. And this is the highest, best use of my own set of skills to pay back.
Most of you remember Judge Merrick Garland because of what Mitch McConnell did to him. Now, 5 years after Mitch and his Senate Republicans blocked his nomination to the Supreme Court for no other reason than that President Barack Obama had nominated him, Garland is President Biden's nominee for Attorney General. And today, he made his case for the job.
Where my grandparents fled anti-Semitism and persecution. The country took us in, and protected us. And I feel an obligation to the country to pay back. And this is the highest, best use of my own set of skills to pay back.
Garland, who oversaw the Oklahoma City bombing case, the worst act of homegrown terrorism in the nation's history prior to the January 6th insurrection, warned that we are facing far more threatening times and promised to make fighting the threat of domestic terrorism his top priority.
What's going on in America? Was Oklahoma City just a one-off, unrelated to what happened here?
I don't think that this is necessarily a one-off. FBI Director Wray has indicated that the threat of domestic terrorism, and particularly of white supremacist extremists, is his #1 concern in this area. We are facing a more dangerous period than we faced in Oklahoma City.
If confirmed to the office held by America's single worst Attorney General, William Barr, Judge Garland will lead a battered Justice Department forced to confront this rapidly ballooning threat. Last Friday, the DOJ indicted 9 individuals associated with the extremist group, the Oath Keepers. The grand jury found that the Oath Keepers arranged firearms and combat training and donned paramilitary gear as they attacked the Capitol. In a new court filing, one of the Oath Keepers members, Jessica Watkins, claimed that she was not a participant in the insurrection, but was instead working security at the rally. Her lawyer says that Watkins was there, quote, to provide security to the speakers at the rally, to provide escort for the legislators and others to march to the Capitol as directed by the then president, and to safely escort protesters away from the Capitol to their vehicles and cars at the conclusion of the protest. One of the officers defending the Capitol that day told ABC that those so-called protesters were actually terrorists and racists whose goal was to overthrow democracy.
I got called a couple dozen times today, protecting this building. Is this America? They beat police officers with Blue Lives Matter flags.
For more, I'm joined by Malcolm Nance, MSNBC counterterrorism and intelligence analyst, and Paul Butler, Georgetown law professor and former federal prosecutor. Thank you both for being here. And Malcolm, you know, I retweet you a lot, my friend. We have been doing this for, what is this, like 5 years now. You wrote in a 2020 book proposal that I liberally retweeted, you wrote this: I hate being right. October 2020 book proposal. Win or lose, come early 2021, the United States will find itself quite possibly facing an underground of armed white militiamen who will start waging a clandestine war against the Constitution itself in the defense of the cult of Donald Trump. You likened this group to the Klan. In your mind, is that what you would consider everything from the Oath Keepers, who now just claim they're just security, to the Proud Boys, and on and on and on? In what way is this, in your view, similar or sort of likened to the Klan?
Well, you know, at one point, the Klan was very popular. If you were politically ambitious, you had to be a member of the Klan. But when it started out early on, it was a clandestine organization, as you know. They wore white hoods and rode around in order to terrorize black populations so that they wouldn't reap any of the benefits of the federal government. They were also an anti-government organization. So now what we see is a transformation of the people who all attended the August 2018 Charlottesville rally. And after the rally, when the national opprobrium was too much for them, the shame was too much, apparently they went underground. They didn't. What they did was they started coming back together and congealed together as a sort of informal paramilitary of the Trump campaign. And last summer, when the Black Lives Matter protests happened, they were there as an extension of that. And that's why I said it's coming into the election. It appeared that they were going to be something, whether they were underground informal brown shirts or, as we saw them manifest on January 6th, an actual insurrectionist organization loyal to one man.
Yeah, indeed. I'm going to need those future lottery numbers since you seem to know everything that's going to happen in the future. Paul Butler, let's talk a little bit about the sort of bigger picture in terms of not just the people who did it, but that required money. We know that the Publix co-founder funded some of the actual the Ellipse sort of events, and so we know where some of that money came from. But here was Senator Sheldon Whitehouse today questioning Merrick Garland about that issue of who funded the overall attack.
With respect to January 6th, I'd like to make sure that you are willing to look upstream from the actual occupants who assaulted the building. You will not rule out investigation of funders, organizers, ringleaders, or aiders and abettors who were not present in the Capitol on January 6th.
We will pursue these leads wherever they take us.
You know, Paul Butler, I wondered if at some point Senator Whitehouse was going to look to his left or his right, because some of the same funders, aiders, abettors are members of Congress, maybe people who fund members of Congress. This was an effort that was very much in the Republican sort of sphere. How far do you anticipate the Justice Department being able to go with some of the aiders and abettors sitting in the United States Senate?
So, Joy, right now the FBI says that it's served 500 search warrants and opened 400 case files on the insurrection. Presumably, there's got to be an investigation of the kingpins, not just the 800 people who invaded and attacked the Capitol, but their leaders. And so the FBI says that it's looking at people who influenced the insurrection with words, with networks, with deeds, and with money. And so among those prime suspects isn't the word that the FBI uses, but I'll use that word, thinking and looking at what people like Roger Stone and Alex Jones have done. They promoted the hate groups like the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys. They have personal and business relationships with them. In his own prosecution, Roger Stone said that he trusted Enrique Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys, so much that Roger Stone gave Tarrio his social media accounts and his cell phone to use on his own. And this is the same Rick Tarrio who on January 3rd posted, "What if we invaded?" Joe, Malcolm's right. The sad reality is that right now, Donald Trump he commands an army of white supremacists and domestic terrorists who apparently will stop at nothing.
Well, I mean, that's why people coin the term Al-Qaeda, right? I mean, Osama bin Laden didn't do any of the things himself. He just simply directed other people, and they did it. And that's why the term sort of works in this instance. You know, Malcolm, what do you make of this Oath Keepers woman, who the Oath Keepers, by definition, are law enforcement, military. These are people who know how to use weapons and a lot of times have weapons, claiming that she was just security, meaning implying she was security for members of Congress and for others?
Well, you know, Jessica Watkins and the other co-conspirators in that group, they all have rich fantasy lives. So we shouldn't take a lot out of that statement. I mean, just because they come together with Roger Stone and provided security for him, that we do know, you know, and they stand in a line between, you know, behind the Secret Service or the Park Police, doesn't mean that they have been organized as real security. So I'll give her that point, because I really think these people do live in a rich fantasy world. Look, these people were also believing that they had heavy weapons stored across from, you know, across the Potomac River, and that they were going to have boats shuttle them over, and they could actually, you know, lay siege to the Capitol. They came armed. They came prepared. They came wearing body armor and helmets. But, you know, it was the mass of 40,000 protesters pushing that, you know, the extremist edge up into the Capitol, who did open battle open battle for hours. And I know I watched their own live streams, gave it to us. But, you know, they have this bizarre victimization trick that they do. Somebody called it Mar-a-lago syndrome, where as soon as they're caught, they all switch, and they claim they were never there. You know, it's sort of a reverse Stockholm syndrome. Now they're claiming it was all Antifa that was there, and that, you know, the thousands of thousands of people throwing Trump's flags as spears were all part of some liberal imaginings.
Yeah, kids are going to start saying Antifa is why they didn't clean their room, and they're the ones who messed it up. Last question to you, Paul Butler. You mentioned Enrique Tarrio, the rather ironic leader of the Proud Boys, who is as a man of color. His own lawyer said that in the past he's snitched. He's told. If you were a part of this investigation, would he be the first stop in your on your list in terms of somebody to talk to and maybe get intel from?
Yeah, again, he's a proven snitch. Nobody should take his word further than they can see him. So they'll have to have receipts, the FBI and the Justice Department will, to believe the things that he says. But yes, again, they're looking hopefully at the kingpins, the leaders of the investigation. Tarrio ran the Proud Boys, and he apparently knew a lot about what was going to go down on January 2nd. So the chances are, if he's looking at crimes possibly being charged for incitement or conspiracy, he's going to sing like a parrot.
Yeah, he and the other man of color, Ali Alexander, about to find out they are men of color in the criminal justice system. Good luck with that. Malcolm Nance, Paul Butler, thank you both very much.